Hello, everyone. I'm Colin Tessier of WrestleZone.com, joined by John Clark tonight to talk about WWE Monday Night Raw. John, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Just another ordinary day, another Monday, nothing special going on. How about you?
About the same. But it was on paper a special episode of Raw. It was the go home show for the Royal Rumble. That's on Saturday this year. So obviously lots to dig into there. But obviously we'll get to that all in due time. Before we do, just want to remind you all this show, like everything we do here, is available on all of our streaming platforms: SoundCloud, Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, whatever it may be. We've got you covered. Now, John, several times before the show, if you want on the air tonight, I got a little cranky on Twitter because they did not announce a single match before the show tonight. Instead, at least the announced segments were built around a birthday party, which turned out to be the main event segment for the go home show of the Royal Rumble, a weigh-in, which kicked off the show, and an academic challenge. Now, there were pros and cons all along the way, but we'll get into that. I do want to take a moment to say happy birthday, friend of the show, Nesha Kirsch, chiming in right away with saying hello. Nesha, happy birthday. I hope you had a great day here. It is just about the very end of the day. That is the downside of these Raw post shows. Now we're recording. It's 11, almost 11:10 on your birthday. So I hope you had a very good day here. Hopefully we can make it, make the end a little more fun, even more fun for you. I hope you had a great day. Steven saying Raw was not a bad show this week. AJ and Austin Theory was the best match of the night. Now, John, I was just saying I was getting a little cranky. I'm even more cranky because they gave us really good matches and they didn't announce a single one. Like, how counterintuitive is that, John? Like, you're going to give us good matches, not even good, some of them very, very good or even great matches. Not going to announce a single one. We had a U.S. title match. We had Randy Orton versus Chad Gable, which even on paper alone, a very, very good match, and it was. The Mysterios versus the Street Profits, pretty darn good. AJ Styles, Austin Theory, very, very good. Sidebar, several birthday wishes for Nesha here, Brian Everett, and Stephen Chambers chiming in as well. Happy birthday, Nesha. We really appreciate you. But, John, come on. Like, what are they doing here? They're giving us these good matches, and they're not advertising them. Like, I wasn't really excited for the show tonight, even though it was a go-home show. Had they announced even 3 of the great matches that they wound up giving us, I would have felt a little more excited. I feel a little cheated.
Yeah, it's understandable. I don't know. It wasn't really as big of a deal to me as maybe it was to you. But then again,
well, well,
I'm a sucker for the entertainment storytelling component of it. So just having the 3 segments wasn't really that uh much of a deal breaker for me. Now, of course, I do get your point where if they would have advertised them beforehand, better for promoting the show. But you know.
it's okay. I know. It's not a wrestling show. We have firmly accepted this. I understand. I'm not going to get upset about that. Like that. This is fine. It is sports entertainment. It's fine. It's fine. But like one match. Give me one match. But the weird thing is on SmackDown, they announced like multiple matches, so you know what to look forward to, and they gave us stuff to look forward to with these segments. But it's the balance. It's the sports and the entertainment, John. That's what I'm saying. Now, I guess I could see at the same time you're trying to differentiate the styles of the shows. That's fine as well. All right, that's fine. But I will say, Brian Everett chiming in saying Raw was pretty good. The weigh-in with Lashley and Leslie was nice, alongside the birthday party here with Miz and Edge at the end. Now we can dive right in there. So the show did start off with a weigh-in, and again right off the bat, I was a little upset. I'm like, getting upset. There are no matches tonight, so I'm like, all right, cool. It's not a wrestling show. It's fine. Gonna roll with it. And then we get this like sports centered weigh-in for a title match, like playing off of the UFC backgrounds, which we've seen sometimes here and there. Sometimes hasn't worked out so well. AEW tried it, didn't go very well. Doing these things, it's a fun way to, like I said, to acknowledge, in this case, very fittingly, Lashley Lesnar, the UFC backgrounds, and the legitimate amateur athletes, all these things. So I thought that was fun. But John, the best thing about this segment to me, Cowboy Brock Lesnar comes out. He's wearing a cowboy hat. This man's having a grand old time. It's fun. Like, I didn't even really care what he said. I didn't care who outweighed the other. I didn't care like what even happened here. This the wonderful image of Brock wearing the cowboy hat. I told our writer Anthony Nash, I was like, we've got to find something to get out of this because I've got to have an article with that glorious image of Brock Lesnar just rocking a cowboy hat, looking so damn happy. Not just saying she likes this Brock. Stephen Chambers pointing in Brock dressing like a lumberjack. Now
I
he's a
gotta ask
cowboy.
you a question because I know you are. I don't want to say frugal, but you don't like to spend money if you don't have to.
Right. This is true.
So
This is
let me
well
ask,
established.
did you buy your Brock Lesnar flannel $49.99 button-up shirt yet?
No, I honestly, I missed it when they first advertised it, and then I saw it was making the rounds on social media. So yeah, this is the cash cow WWE trying to really maximize this. A flannel with the Brock Lesnar. It was like a blue and black kind of flannel thing, pretty funky looking, with the Brock Lesnar kind of like the Beast Incarnate logo on the back. I think it's running for like $50. Um, John, it's tax season, so I might sit this one out. Maybe if I catch a good sale at some point soon, I might wear it
You're
around the
you're you're gonna
house.
be one of those guys to wait for like a year when it's on clearance for like $6.99, then you're gonna buy
Exactly,
a thing.
exactly. I waited until the Daniel Bryan stuff was on clearance, and I love Daniel Bryan. I before the pro wrestling tees stuff went down, I splurged a little bit, got
Hey,
myself a
hey,
couple
hey!
things there.
Whoa, 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 whoa! You know, now, the more that I think about this, Jersey people don't wear flannel.
I have flannel, John. You can't just
Uh,
dismiss all of us as anti-flannel people. I have flannel. I like to wear a nice flannel sometimes. You can't just
I
make these
while
sweeping assumptions.
while we're talking about the segment, uh, there's a comment from DJ. It makes sense. He said they're cheering both Lashley and Lesnar. I don't think they were really cheering Lashley,
But
from
they
what
were
I heard.
cheering Lesnar big time.
Yes.
Paul Heyman comes out, hypes him up. This crowd goes crazy. They're saying Heyman's lines longer than they clearly were very behind Brock Lesnar. Um, they are, even if not for the cheering aspect, I do think they are setting this up as a clash of two titans, and neither one is really the babyface or the heel. Even though we've seen Lashley be the heel before, even though we've seen Lesnar be the clear heel before, this is not that. I think both are pretty clearly, at the very least, tweeners, or it's definitely that gray area. And on the complete opposite side, we'll talk about it a little later, but on SmackDown, you've got Rollins and Reigns, two very pronounced heels. So interesting times in the main event scene for WWE right now. I should say the title scene here. I think it's interesting. I think it works with this. They are really playing up on this very dream match quality clash. A lot of people like Lashley. A lot of people like Lesnar. It does feel like maybe Lesnar has a little more of that kind of groundswell of public support. But a lot of people have really sided with Lashley as well. Maybe not quite as loudly, I guess, because he's not really getting all those cheers. But they're also not really booking him clearly as a heel right now. Deja pointing out that Lashley's kind of high fiving people, so definitely they are not exactly really framing him as a heel in this case. So yes, Brian ever asking if they're both faces. I don't necessarily think it's a black or white heel or face thing. I think it's more just that the shades of gray thing, as we've talked about a little recently here. At least for this feud, not really sure what will be coming out of it, but I think Lesnar has been a face for a while now, or at the very least a heavily face leading tweener. The Roman Reigns stuff and everything. But I guess we can go kind of beat by beat here. Now we're talking about Lashley and Lesnar. Not just picking Brock Lesnar, John. Now that we have had the go home show, at least for this one, we'll see a little more of Rollins and Reigns on Friday. But with this one, this is it. This is the last time we'll see these guys live until the Royal Rumble. So at this juncture, do you think you're picking Brock or Bobby Lashley heading into the Royal Rumble?
Brock Lesnar, pretty easily. I think it'll be a convincing win. I think Lashley will give him a run for his money, but I just think Lesnar is going to be kind of the guy moving forward, at least to WrestleMania. Now his challenger is who knows, but I think that would be the right move at this point. I think.
Yeah, I mean, he just won on day one. Lashley, I wouldn't be upset if he won. I liked his reign. It wasn't perfect, but he deserves to be a champion. He had a good reign. He deserves another one at some point because he's continued to do good work. I don't know if it's at that time, so maybe they would be better off having Lesnar win there. Steven's saying it's going to be a great match either way. It's years overdue. That it is. This has been Lashley's been publicly, if not begging, like kind of rallying for it, really pushing for it for years now. And for whatever reason, booking, Lesnar's contract status. He briefly left the company for a little bit. It never quite clicked, but now this is the time. We've said it when this first kind of came into play. This felt like a very much, and still does feel like very much a WrestleMania match. And we're getting it through Royal Rumble, so that makes it even more special. And that's just saying, Brock wins, could get a rematch for WrestleMania. Maybe. I think it's possible. I do think, and at least we've seen some reports about Reigns and Lesnar maybe finally mixing it up again at WrestleMania. I'm not quite sure how likely that is, but that feels maybe a little more WrestleMania caliber at this point rather than a rematch for this one, having just seen it. And obviously with Reigns Lesnar, that's we've seen that many a time, but I think either one would be good options at this point. DJ predicting Lashley's loss here. MVP in his last days being in Lashley's corner, maybe he'll cost Lashley the match on Sunday. Interesting take there. The thing is, for me, I think Lesnar can and has worked. He did work pretty well without Heyman for a little bit there, feuding with Reigns. Not to say that Lashley can't, but I think we've really seen that Lesnar was able to kind of swim in that case. Whereas I think Lashley and MVP are so good together that I think it'd be detrimental to break them up. So possible, maybe not probable. I'm not quite sure how they get out of this without, maybe some interference. John, you said you predicted it to be a decisive win here, which would make sense, but I feel like they're also not going to want to really damage Lashley too much. But again, it's Brock Lesnar, so I do think picking Lesnar is a good point, at least at this juncture. But as always, we very well could be wrong on that one. Rolling right into the next match here, we had Bianca Belair come out, and right away I thought, John, we're either going to get her versus Doudrop again because they don't have a lot of depth, or maybe Carmella, if she's clear. We know she's been dealing with some health issues recently. Otherwise, I wasn't really sure. Like Nikki ASH is involved with Rhea Ripley right now, but then Zelina Vega comes out, and I'm like, all right. And I tweeted about this during the show. They almost have to book themselves in the corners because they would have had to do Doudrop again. Doudrop has a title match on Saturday, so you'd want her to have more momentum. And then, like I said, Carmella, I guess both her and Vega in this case, they're champions. So either one, in theory, you wouldn't really want to give them a meaningless loss, but that's what they do because they don't have depth, and it's just this vicious cycle. But this match, and I would say the 6-woman tag match we saw later, really drove home to me like, wow, the Raw Women's division, and I would say SmackDown as well. That's the whole division really needs a kind of an infusion of fresh blood, which is weird because on SmackDown we've got Aaliyah, we've got Xia Li. They haven't quite found their footing yet, so I'm not saying like that's not enough yet, but definitely Raw, it feels like it's been a little bit since we've had someone new come in. I think part of that's from releases. I think part of that's from the booking itself. But in this one, Bianca Belair wins, looks pretty impressive. And we talked about it last week, but I do think in some ways she seems, I guess, like a realistic pick to win the Rumble in terms of like, unless a crazy surprise happens, and we'll talk about that. But in terms of the people right here today, discounting some of those surprises or returns, I think she would be one of the more realistic picks here. But what do you think about this? I mean, fairly brief match and Belair's chances in the Rumble.
Oh man, so I would assume that Belair is going to enter as one of the favorites. The match wasn't really that intriguing to me. It was kind of a quick one there. No surprise on the result. So, I'm not really going to look too much into this because I don't really think it provided a lot of information that might be beneficial to the Rumble. Belair was still one of the favorites, if not the favorite, going into Saturday, and I don't think that's changed.
Yeah, but now obviously the talk shifts to the big news today. Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select reporting that at least the company is pushing for Ronda Rousey, former Raw Women's Champion, former UFC star, obviously, to return here, seemingly for the Rumble, given the timing of this news. I'm getting a bunch of comments about that. DJ saying they need Ronda back, that they got Ronda back. No, we don't quite know that it's official. We know they're pushing for it, hoping for it, trying to make it happen. But he's saying if Rousey wins, or maybe predicting that, then we could finally get Ronda versus Becky too. Brian Everett chiming in with that as well. That's been kind of like the Lashley Lesnar thing. That's been kind of on the cards or speculated about for quite a while now. It seems like every time it's WrestleMania time, or even SummerSlam time. Like that's the kind of match people look toward. Obviously, Ronda had a child; she was out of commission for quite a while there. But now, if she's coming back, that would seem to pave the way for that. The Royal Rumble would be a good time to do it, and we already know that Mickie James, a bunch of other legends going to be in there. We know that they're going to have supposedly maybe some more surprises yet to unfold. We'll see what Chambers likewise pointing out. Going to be a lot of surprises in that match. Ronda Rousey, John, do you want? Okay, we don't have to get into do we think she's coming back? Because we just know they're pushing for it. That is all we know at this point based on that report. So we can't really speculate about if it's going to happen. Do you want it to happen? A, and B, if she does come back, would you want to see her come back for the Rumble? Or how do you want to see that kind of go down if that is on the table at this point?
Yes, and yes. So, if the plans did call for her to return on Saturday, I 100% undeniably would want her to win the Rumble and think that she would win the Rumble. The only exception to that would be if Bayley was in the Rumble. So if Bayley is not in the Rumble and Ronda is in the Rumble, I am going to stick with my gut and say that she would win if she was in. Now, there let's go back and say, okay, well, what if she's not in the Rumble, but she's coming back soon? When might make sense for her to come back? I don't know. I think when she comes back, she absolutely has to feud with Becky for the title. That's the only thing that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, sure, if the winner of the Rumble, maybe Bayley or whoever, would challenge Charlotte instead, that's fine. I think that she could come back on a moment's notice and instantly make sense for a WrestleMania feud. How she comes back, who knows, who cares? But as long as she's back, I think that's what matters the most. Now, going into as of now, so you asked me do I want her to? What do I think she'd win? Now, as far as do I think, I don't know. I'm kind of 50-50 on the whole if she's going to be there. And I know 50-50 is well 50-50 but still the news came out today and it would just make sense, and it's been enough months where it would it would work. So you asked me what I think. Well, what do you think? What do you want? What
I
would
mean,
you like
Nestor
to
points
see?
out that she's sticking with Bayley, even if Ronda returns. They do have. I mean, I think Ronda coming back would open up some options. That's what Brian's saying. You could have Ronda face Bayley, a lot of potential new matchups there, or even rematches from when she was previously involved. You could see Bayley maybe return in one of the title matches. Maybe. I do think if she does come back, she'll be in the Rumble. I think that makes a lot of sense there. Nestor, I'm agree with Nestor. I'll believe Ronda when I see it. It always feels like you see some reports like this, especially in Rumble time. There's always some kind of this isn't crazy. I'm not saying it's oh my, there's no way. I'm not saying that at all. It does make sense. But this yet again, as my philosophy pretty consistently is I'm gonna keep the bar low. I'm gonna just try and stay pretty grounded in the realm of reality, and that way, when or if crazy things happen, I get to be pleasantly surprised. But
Well,
again,
I'll tell you this: as of right now, 21 women are confirmed and 22 men are confirmed. So there are 9 mystery spots for the women and 8 for the men. So 9 is plenty of opportunity. If you do the math, you would think, well, every 3 entrants there's going to be a surprise. Now, you're never going to get if Ronda comes back, she's not coming out of 4 or 5, obviously. She's going to come out of 25, 26, 27. And when we're going to talk about this later on who we think's going to win, but I'm just saying that if Ronda is coming back, it just makes sense to me.
yeah, it would make sense for that. It seems same as echoing what you're saying. If she does enter the match, being somewhere in the 25 to 30 range, not doing anything too crazy, not pulling an Iron Woman kind of performance, coming in, maybe winning from that one of those spots would make sense. I could see it again. I'm just trying not to predict or firmly assume what's going to happen. Although, some of the cards are kind of lining up here. Again, more matchups we could see. Brian said we could see Ronda and Bianca. again, it would open up some new possibilities, and that is a very good thing. Especially on the Raw side of things. So we got a bunch of comments about Lita as well. Lita on the SmackDown side, she was on SmackDown 2 weeks ago. She had a conversation with Charlotte Flair. Now she's pointing out maybe we'll see a WrestleMania match between them. It's another option, and I think you can. I think Robert and I may have talked about this on the SmackDown side of things, but you can get there without even having her win the Rumble. But Michael's saying that Lita win would be cool. But yet again, Bianca could win. But we saw one comment a minute ago. Steven saying he doesn't think Bianca's going to repeat. She won the match last year. A lot of uncertainty, unpredictability. We do know one thing, at least reportedly, that as Steven Chambers pointing out, and DJ as well, that the Iconics, or now known as the Inspiration, will not be in the match again. Credit to Sean Ross Sapp, Fightful, reporting that Cassidy Lee and Jessie McKay, formerly known as Peyton Royce and Billy Kay, turned down an offer to be in the match here. Can't say I blame them there. Obviously, they did not get, that didn't end on the best of terms, getting released in the cost-cutting wave of releases, really. That was last April now. They're doing great things in Impact. They're doing great. They're doing great. And this would have been reportedly sanctioned by Impact, like the Mickie James thing. But it's fine. I think that if they came back, cool. They're doing great things anyway, and that's fine. But well, again, we can talk a little more about potential winners here. Nesha doesn't think that Lita's going to win. I mean, yeah, that one maybe doesn't feel quite as probable, but I do think it's possible. I do want to point out, John, you and I both tweeted about this. At one point, we can, segue. We had the 6-woman tag team match. It was Rhea Ripley, Dana Brooke, and Liv Morgan versus Tamina, Carmella, and Nikki ASH. And we had these pretty classic old school, pre-tapes of the woman saying, "Oh, I'm going to win. No, I'm going to win." And Dana Brooke said, "Call me crazy, but this is my year." And you and I both were like, "No, you're crazy. I'm sorry, you're not winning. You're not winning the Rumble. Maybe next year." DJ saying,
I think just to kind of go into a little bit more detail about her overwhelming odds of not winning. There was an article put up on WrestleZone yesterday about the updated Royal Rumble betting odds. And Stephanie McMahon and a pregnant Candice LeRae had the same odds as Dana Brooke to win the Rumble. And there were numerous unconfirmed participants. Literally, the only women on the whole betting odds sheet that had less betting odds than Dana Brooke was Summer Rae. So, and as far as the match goes tonight, it was kind of pointless. I mean, all 6 women didn't even spend legal time in the match. Rhea Ripley was the only one of note that did anything in this match. Of course, it's nice to see more than one women's match on the card, more than 2 women's segments, whatever you want to call it, but not an A for effort here. So I don't know how much read into that. But yeah, like you said, Dana Brooke is not winning. Nobody believes she's winning. She's going to be one of those people that gets in and probably loses her 24/7 title because somebody pins her after she's eliminated or something. Exactly like Nesha says. And then this follows after she probably immediately enters the ring and gets thrown out by one of the Bella twins or something.
Yeah, I will say I was glad to see. I criticized the selection of opponent earlier. I was glad to see Bianca winning a match here. I was glad to see Rhea Ripley kind of looking impressive in this match because heading to this Rumble, kind of maybe be established. And of course, they were the final 2 in the match last year. They look great. Hard to believe kind of how far we've come since then. Some of the booking for both women has been a little lackluster, pretty consistently here and there, but. Yeah, this was not great. Rhea Ripley won, but this is, I think, one of the bigger takeaways, kind of another mini chapter in this ongoing Rhea Ripley and Nikki ASH storyline. Steven's saying he said it before, but please get rid of the Nikki ASH superhero gimmick. Yeah. Nikki had in her pre-tape, she was saying that she wants to make WrestleMania super. So I feel like it's not going anywhere anytime soon.
Stupendous and super.
Oh, I hate that word, man. I hate that word. Well, yeah, I don't think it's going anywhere. I think they're going to roll this gimmick as long as they can. Kind of like the Alexa Bliss thing, the merch, and just feel like it's kind of what they're doing. Nikki saying Nesha saying the Nikki promo was awful. I do think in these pre-tapes, especially in a WWE context, they do really show like who really can cut a promo like this, and who might struggle in that kind of setting. You've got like 60 seconds tops to cut a promo, most likely scripted word for word, or at least have, for the most part. And yet again, I've said it before, something about the Liv Morgan promos, just like the delivery or the content, like it's not working for me. She's like, I almost won the title, but I'm going to win the Rumble. Watch me. I'm like, God, I don't know, man. It grinds my gears. I'm sorry. Like, she gets good reactions. It comes out. She got a great story. I respect her for that. I like her in that way. And then she starts talking with these promos. It's like, I don't know. And Steven, credit for the Von Wagner dig. So Nikki went to the promo school of the same one for Von Wagner. Oh boy. Yeah. Liv Morgan, it seems like they're all in the same class there, unfortunately. But yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I think the Raw Women's Division does need an infusion of new talent, or at least some kind of shake-up. And we might as well dig into it, John. We had yet another therapy session with Alexa Bliss. Not a whole lot to dig into this week. She was wearing slightly more normal clothes. So I tweeted about it. I'm like, am I reading too much into this, or is that kind of a little foreshadowing? Like, is this a little thing? We did see WWE file a trademark on the Goddess, obviously her former nickname before she became the Fiend's sidekick. So I did kind of take note of that. Not much to really dig into in terms of what she was saying. She was talking about Lily again and the origins of her relationship with Lily and how Lily beat up, or worse, some kids at a playground when Alexa was little. And then the segment kind of trailed off and didn't really end, kind of like ended. Again, my main hope here is that, yes, as Brian's saying, that the old Alexa is coming back. This promo was interesting. Again, less so what she was saying, more so like her makeup was a little different. She looked, I've tweeted about it, almost like Harley Quinn of the Suicide Squad movies. Like, she looked a little different. We've seen her posting pictures online. Her hair's a little different. Like, I think she's going to be doing something, a little bit of a different presentation somehow, but we're not there yet. Any thoughts on, again, what was a fairly brief chapter to this ongoing story at this point?
Oh boy. No, nothing in particular to note, really. Just a typical format you would see of her resumes the past couple weeks. But I don't know. All these people saying that it could be going in different directions, but I don't know. I don't see it. I see it being the same thing it's been before, but maybe I'm just negative.
I guess I'm maybe being overly optimistic. I'm hoping it's going somewhere significant with a more meaningful outcome. Steven Chambers saying he's surprised that Alexa Bliss came back with this gimmick, hoping she's going to go back to the old Alexa at some point. I'm thinking that's going to happen. That's just saying be patient. Telling me to be patient, even though I'm like, I want to see this. He's got to wait it out here. That's what Alexa said. She even tweeted like, "Oh, you got to kind of let it play out." Again, it's kind of hard to do that these days. So no, I'm hopeful, optimistic, but also jaded, and somewhere in between. I don't know. I hope the old Alexa Bliss comes back. But regardless, the day she actually does come back, I hope that she's treated right, because I think that she could really help. That's at least sitting here today, that the Raw Women's Division, as I said, it really needs some kind of shake up there. So fingers crossed on that one. I've said it before. I'm hoping for some kind of revisitation of her team or storyline with Nikki ASH. I think there's something there. I think they've got a lot of options. Whatever does happen with her, so I'm hopeful about that. Hoping to see that at some point soon. I'm gonna try and be patient, but again, I do think we're going to be able to benefit from that, because the Raw Women's Division needs something that they're not getting in that sense. Something that we got tonight, John. Again, it wasn't advertised, but we got it. A United States Championship match between Damon Priest and Kevin Owens. Exactly the kind of match that could have been a little more intriguing ahead of the show, like giving you kind of something to look forward to. They announced it, I think it was right after the weigh-in, so I was like, oh, cool. Owens beat Priest last week and naturally earns a title match. Makes sense. I like it. DJ right off the bat predicting that Damon could lose the US title to Owens on Saturday. He's calling it. Now, we don't know that they're going to have a title match, at least on Saturday. Maybe it'll be rematch next week. Yet again, John, Damien's little inner, I almost said little Damien, his inner Damien ruined everything once again. And as I tweeted about during the show, Damien Priest, little inner Damien ruins everything, including Damien Priest, because of this gimmick. It's really not doing it. And like I got, if not mad, like, will this finish? I got like a little irked because like it was a really good match. It was a really good match. Owens was doing great. Priest was looking good, having a good match. Priest, his new Damien comes out and he gets mad and he does the whole like grr thing and then he gets DQ'd. Even though the referee tried to stop him like twice, still lost control, gets DQ'd yet again. I feel like we're gonna get a rematch, but damn, Owens better win that. I thought this was Owens like his match to lose, and he did. He won via disqualification. I said like, give Owens the belt, you cowards, just do it. All right, just like give the man the belt. He deserves it. Someone tweeted during the show I saw him that Owens hasn't held a title, I think, since like 2017, or maybe not quite that long. That's crazy. Or like it's been a while. This man deserves a title, and I will not hear otherwise. John, what do you think about this match here and the potential for Owens to win the U.S. title sooner than later?
Yeah, so I understand the outcome isn't going to make a whole lot of people happy, although I do, like Steven says, think that this will probably ultimately end up with Owens winning the belt. This feud isn't over. We're going to see a rematch. I'm not quite sure we're going to get it on Saturday, but it might be as early as next week, maybe 2 weeks. Who knows? Owens continues to showcase his immaculate skills, and it's not surprising that the company offered him such a good deal to stay with the company. Very glad to see that he decided to stick around and he's being relevant. He's being used more so than he was towards the end of his SmackDown run. So it's nice to see. Remember last year, they really didn't have anything for him for WrestleMania, but they didn't also have anything for Sami Zayn. So they're like, hey, let's just put these two together again and see what happens. Hopefully this year he gets something a little better.
I have to think so, and I think maybe more than anybody, I think he could have a nice run with the U.S. title because to me he is at the worst a borderline main eventer the way he's presented these days. As you said last year, he was like really maybe probably he got demoted to a mid card, but now he was in the kind of the main event day one, and he was in the main event scene before that. Now he's here, maybe the upper mid card with this U.S. title thing, and I think he could really do work some wonders for the U.S. title. But man, yeah, Steven, spot on. But this Priest thing is just not working. He's snapping. He's getting mad. He's wearing more eye black. It's not good. And again, I said it last week, probably the week before, and the week before that. There was a time in like September, like Priest was like one of my favorite parts of Raw. He was having great matches. He was actually cool. I thought at that point, I was like, yeah, he actually could kind of maybe be a contender for the Royal Rumble. Not today. Like I'm sitting here today. I'm like, no way. Like that's not happening because as Brian pointing out, yeah, I would say at least temporarily they are currently ruining Damon Priest. I don't want to be dramatic and say, oh, they've ruined him like definitively. It's not too late to reverse the damage, but this is not working. I'm not liking it. That's just saying she's not liking it. I have not seen many people in my experiences online. I think this is kind of universally panned for a good reason. It's not good. But as I said, Owens has not held a title in quite a while. I think it's long overdue. I hope that drought ends, just as we see NFL teams in the playoffs hoping to snap their playoff droughts. Owens, give the man a title. He deserves to just get a show of good faith. The guy, everyone and their mother thought he was leaving, and he didn't. So just throw a dog a bone. All right, give him the U.S. title. As Michael's saying, who even cares about the mid card titles? All right, like no, it doesn't matter. Shinsuke gave him the U.S. title. He hasn't defended it in like 3 months. So like, what does it even matter? All right, just the sheer accolade of having the title in the first place. Just do it. All right, just make us happy. Just do that. I've seen this comment going around as well. Owens and Seth would be a great tag team for the tag titles. I think that's true, but now I'm thinking that we might get more of a feud there yet again. We saw them have a feud, a long one, heading into WrestleMania 36. They had a match at WrestleMania 36, and now they're doing the whole best friend thing, and I feel like they're going to do a similar thing. We saw classically Owens and Chris Jericho. They were friends. They turned, had this feud, and I feel like we're heading down a similar path there. And that's like, I guess we segue a little bit. So now we know that the Usos will be banned from ringside for the Rollins and Reigns match there, the Rumble. And they showed the updated match graphic. It was like Usos are barred from ringside. The Usos, John, the Usos are barred from ringside. Now everyone else is fair game, and that's kind of the implication there. And I just feel like we talked about it before. If you want to get wild and weird, Reigns losing would be crazy, and we talk about Lesnar interfering, something else happening. Owens, I mean, complete opposite. Owens maybe helping Rollins win would make sense. I would see Owens has a bone to pick with Roman Reigns, dating back to their feud last year. I feel like we're in for some shenanigans either way. There, we got a brief promo from Rollins here talking about his promo. Or his ongoing feud with Reigns, really, and he'll be appearing on SmackDown again on Friday. But at least at this juncture, we didn't get much about it here tonight. But what are you thinking about Rollins and Reigns at this point, kind of based on what we've seen so far?
Oh boy, I still think Roman is going to keep it for now, but there's certainly an interesting argument to be made otherwise. I think if he somehow does lose the belt, he's winning the Rumble easily. What do you think?
It's just, well, I mean, again, it feels intertwined in the sense that nobody, especially on the men's side, the women's side, we talk about some of the people that seem realistic and plausible, some of the surprises, and some people on the roster. I forgot to say earlier, Charlotte will always be a realistic option because just throw her another accolade, why not? Bianca feels possible at least, and then we talk about Bayley and others as well on the men's side. I have no idea. I really don't. Other than, again, as you mentioned, if Brock or Roman really loses, I feel like one of them could easily win the Rumble and set that up for WrestleMania. I think that makes almost too much sense, and I'd be a little let down if that happened. And that's just pointing out Austin Theory. Austin Theory had a great match tonight. He faced AJ Styles. It was a very, very good match. Another one, John, that was not advertised ahead of time that would have added a little spice to the card tonight if it were advertised, but it was still delivered a very good match. Theory, I mean, Vince McMahon, like there was a little segment, Theory was trying to rally and get Vince McMahon to give him a later spot in the Rumble, and Vince was like, oh, why would he possibly think that I have any influence over that? I don't know, Vince, you're the boss. Theory had a great match, but he came up short against AJ. So AJ got a little more momentum back on his side here. And so that leads Stephen Chambers to say it has to be AJ's year. I believe today was the 5-year anniversary, 6 year of Styles' WWE debut at the Royal Rumble 2016.
6, yeah.
So maybe a little kind of, commemoration of that. He debuted in the match. I think he hasn't always competed in the match. Otherwise, he's had some title matches here and there at the show. But there's something that feels kind of fun about that, of having him maybe win it this year, give him another major accolade to really cement his already solidified and certified Hall of Fame resume. Royal Rumble win, I think, would be something possible in my eyes. Yes, realistic or probable. Again, maybe not. John, what are you thinking?
I don't know. It's just I'm reading the comments where she's saying Austin Theory winning. I'm just laughing because playing this scenario through my head with how Vince has been involved in all this, I can just see like us sitting here saying, "Oh no, there's no way that's going to happen," and then it happens. But I think there's a better chance that we see Veer in the Rumble than we see Theory winning it. But I like the takes about Styles winning. The match also was very good tonight, especially the second half after the commercial break. But come on, Austin Theory winning, like
more or less realistic than Veer, John.
Probably more realistic than Veer just because of the
investment,
how
the
Vince
storyline.
has been involved into this. Another interesting thing about those betting odds that I put out on Sunday was that Vince McMahon is on there as a candidate to win. Can you imagine if he shows up and eliminates Austin Theory?
I was reading one article the other day that predicted that Vince would at least be in the Rumble. I think at least another article thought that he would win. Oh boy. Sometimes I say my mind would explode in a good way if something happens. Like I saw someone tweet like, "Oh, what if Seth Rollins wears his classic Shield attire and dyes his hair kind of blonde for his match with Reigns, kind of mess with him?" Like, oh, that'd be cool. Like my mind would explode out of sheer fandom. If Vince McMahon wins the Royal Rumble in 2022, my mind would explode in the worst way. DJ, yes, he's won the Rumble before. That was what? 1999 or so, I believe.
More than 20 years ago.
And so I think he was maybe 50 which is like heck of a lot more plausible than now he's in his 70s. And I'm like, no, okay, anything would be better. And I'm sure we can sit here and criticize his booking all we want. I'm sure he knows that. I'm sure he's a physically capable guy, but like, come on. No. Brian, thank you for the stat. Brian Everett saying Vince was 53-9. We've seen The Undertaker, Ric Flair, Sting here sitting here today. Sting is still wrestling in the 60s.
Edge.
Okay. Edge, well, he's not 60, John. Come on. He's up there, but he's not quite that old. But Vince in his 70s, like, that's a bit too far for me.
Okay. Then if we can't have Vince, how about Shane?
I like the idea of getting Shane versus Austin Theory at WrestleMania, battling for Vince's heart, battling for the approval of Daddy Vince. Not for the Rumble though. No. Michael Colin referencing the classic 2005 incident where Vince tore both his quads running to the ring when Cena and Batista simultaneously won the Rumble by accident. He ran to the ring out of sheer fury and tore both his quads, and an all-time infamous incident there. Hopefully not. Maybe that's why he'll be better off just stay in the back, have the headset, leave it to the people that are in their prime here. Brian saying that Shane just turned 50. All right, I mean, again, that's more plausible than Vince at this point. But let's just keep them away and then give it somebody else. Again, anything would be better. Roman, even Brock, even though if I think those are a little too like obvious or predictable, at least like makes sense. Like no. But otherwise, like I just don't know. Big E, kind of like the Bianca thing, makes sense, kind of, but no. Like they haven't booked him they have not booked him all at all since he lost the title. He wasn't even on Raw this week. I just realized I wasn't on the show. He's on SmackDown these days. The brand spot's dead. It's fine. But otherwise, I have no idea. If not for Brock or Roman, I really don't know. AJ, like maybe Edge is out because he won last year. I don't see that happening again. Michael saying Roman has to lose and then he'll win to set up the Brock rematch. Could see that. I don't know. But yet again, I said it last week. I said on the SmackDown show, I like when we have kind of a couple candidates that have been built up nicely, that have momentum, and say, okay, I could easily see them. I'd like to see that. There's a clear direction. This year, ironically, Austin Theory is like one of the only people that actually makes sense. He's been consistently pushed. Yeah, he lost tonight, but he had a heck of a match. John's shaking his head at me, but like I'm just trying to find people that make sense. And like on the Raw side, especially, I don't know. Like Rollins,
AJ Styles on the Raw side. If we eliminate the 4 contenders for the titles,
yeah,
AJ Styles is. Kevin Owens could be a dark horse, but I think AJ Styles would have to be the favorite because they could absolutely turn a program with Brock Lesnar and AJ Styles. But I don't know. Everybody's still on this whole shtick about Roman versus Lesnar at WrestleMania for either one title, both titles. So, like, if that's going to happen, then one of them has to win the Rumble. They just have to, unless it's going to somehow be triple. No, Dolph Ziggler does not have a chance. Dolph Ziggler does not have a chance. No, he doesn't. He does not.
hey, I mean, in theory,
No, he
everybody
doesn't.
has a chance. But you're saying he's
In
got no
theory,
chance in hell.
Johnny Knoxville has a chance.
Yeah. Well, again, if you're in the match, in theory, right, you got a chance. But nice little segue. Sam Chambers saying it'd be cool if Randy Orton wins in his hometown, but it's a long shot. The Rumble will be in Orton's hometown in St. Louis. It's possible. I don't think it's a long shot, but it doesn't necessarily feel like the most beneficial path forward. He's won before. But again, and nice little segue. RK Bro, the story it's right there, begging WWE just to do it, just book it, just run with it and do it and make it a WrestleMania match. So tonight, John, unbeknownst to me, and I think just about everybody else, the Academic Challenge was not a one night extravaganza. It was a buy one get one free, I guess 2 free round 3-week rounds of this here with the 3-round Academic Challenge here for the Academic Challenge. So tonight, John, it was a spelling bee, which brought back some painful memories for me. I remember being in a spelling bee when I was in sixth grade. actually won the school spelling bee, fun fact. But then I lost in I think the night, whatever the next time was after that. John, you know what word got me? Lederhosen. I lost.
Dumbbell.
I lost. No, I wouldn't. I was trying to think about it before they showed it on the screen. I was like, how do you spell dumbbell? And then I probably actually got that one wrong. But I got Lederhosen wrong when I was a wee sixth grader. Spelling, especially on the spot, it's a high pressure situation. So I do not blame these guys. Otis spelled a word wrong, but they gave it to him because
Rigged.
got to roll with the plan. I appreciated the fact that he got a word. He had no idea what it meant, at least in character. Then he was told it was the type of cheese, and he was like, yes, I know of cheese. And that warmed my heart because it reminded me of the classic Otis. He who used to drink disgusting smoothies in the back with meat and eggs and all these gross things. He who was in heavy machinery and when said, "Oh yeah," and Tucky. Oh, I love that guy, and I miss him sometimes. But here we are, Otis, doing great things in Alpha Academy. Chad Gable, I've long thought he was very, very underrated, but he's really becoming a breakout star on Raw. The promos about, don't boo education, it's gross, and saying, he kind of paraphrased it tonight, saying, don't boo education. If anybody needs it, it's you people in Ohio. Bragging about his 4.0 grade point average. This is great. Like, this is really, really good for him. He's doing great with it. We can talk about the spelling we get first. So very loud Dark Road chants when they come out. Looking at my notes here. Riddle had to spell calibration, and he said calibration. It was at that point I was like, oh, it's one of those weeks where Riddle's gonna annoy me, isn't it? But he redeemed himself. He had a fun line about weighing ounces on the scale, as one might have to do with a certain substance that Riddle is known to use, and that actually got Randy Orton. Randy actually laughed at that one. That made it pretty fun. Randy really brought it. Gable didn't spell his word, which took me out of it a little bit. Well, you're going to tell me the 4.0 grade point average guy,
he spelled the word he thought he was spelling right. So come on, he thought he heard a different word than what he actually heard. So you can't really dock points off of him for that.
Fair. Took me a bit out of it, for at least for a second. Steven Chambers pointing out Gable getting a lot of heat, great heel promo. He's really doing great. I'm liking it a lot. Then Randy comes in, and Randy just knocks us out of the park. He really brought it here. He was feeling it. His face was getting red. He was getting animated. He damn sure did spell dumbbell, 2 B's. And again, that one will trip me. I was like, oh, I top of my head, I didn't even know that. I was like, oh, here I am, writing for a living. I'm like, you really put me to the test in the spotlight there on the hot seat. I don't know if I would have got that one. So props to Randy. I'm sure he may have had a little practice there. But I thought that was fun. And then Gable freaks out. I was like, oh, your partner's a dumbbell. It's like, this was fun, man. I like this. I thought it'd be good, and it was. This is great. And again, Randy gets heated. He won the spelling bee for his team, and he's like, I'll show you who's a dumbbell. Let's have a match here right now. Orton and Gable, as I expect, a very good match. I liked it a lot. Very, very good match. They got time. Gable had it look great as well. Otis and Riddle were brawling on side. Riddle just starts beating the tar out of Otis with a scooter on the outside. National point out that Riddle was awesome. So as soon as Riddle and Otis started brawling, that kind of paved the way for Randy to hit an RKO. Gable took it beautifully. Randy Orton wins. Right after this beautiful chef's kiss, excellent match, John. You know what they announced is the stipulation for next week's quote-unquote academic challenge?
Academic challenge, because gym class is part of academics. Gym class, you do activities in gym class, so we're going to have a scooter race, because scooter race is a part of gym class. You're graded in school in gym class, so on your academic report card you have gym on there for a grade. Scooter racing will be a part of that.
That is, I got, this is, there were a couple, I would say maybe three occasions on tonight's episode of Raw. I got mad. All right. I was like, are you kidding me? We had this great match. I was feeling good. It was very nice. I liked it. Wrestling. The show was actually good when it focused on the wrestling. And then you just sucked all the nice buzz out of that by giving me the announcement of a scooter race. John, I understand, okay? I too was a wee lad once. I was in middle school. I loved riding those scooters. That was the best part of gym class. I love that stuff. Those things hit you in the shin, it hurts real bad, but then you hop right back on and you ride it real fast, and it's a fun damn time. But John, this whole thing is supposed to test their academic intelligence, their mind, not their bodies. And yes, you get graded in gym, but it's no, John. Okay, yes, gym is a class. I'm not trying to insult all the wonderful gym teachers out there, but the academic challenge is supposed to test academic or intelligence. And I will say, not to contradict myself, it does make sense. Of course, they would choose this. They know they're not smart, so yes, just like any good jock would do, they would choose the non-academic class because that's what they had the right to do. So I understand. Perhaps there's actually a little logic there, but looking a little deeper, I'm like, come on. They should have just kind of maybe outlined. Okay, yesterday, John, I watched the movie Billy Madison. I don't know if you've seen it. It's got Adam Sandler. He goes back to school, and it ends with like a academic kind of decathlon thing where he has to test. He actually has to test his intelligence in like in a trivia style game where it is quite literally testing how smart he is. And this is not bad. Like
They're gonna have
they have to pick the categories in this game. Not say they should have ripped off of that. I'm saying that it should be about the intelligence, not how fast can they ride a scooter. Because all of this, like that's just gonna. I don't see that being very fun. But that's
they're
gonna be
gonna have to
silly.
bring in a flatbed for Otis to use.
I could see it. I could see it. I like this comparison from Stephen Chambers saying, I thought this as soon as this was announced. Yeah, this definitely reminds me of the Street Profits Viking Raiders back in the peak pandemic era when they had their whole best
Golf.
of, yeah, they had golf and I think they had bowling, whatever, the basketball. They did a bunch of crazy stuff just to try and keep us entertained, and I appreciate it, but it was weird. And yes, I do think this will be like that. It's gonna. I don't know. I don't see this coming off very well. I'm sure if you like Riddle, I'm sure you'll like it. I'm sure Riddle will make it fun as he does if you like him. Randy, I'm sure if he's feeling it, he'll make it fun as well. But I mean, I don't even know. I don't know how they're gonna do it. Stephen Chambers pointing out that they're gonna do a scooter race around the ring. I mean, that'd be a little lame. Might as well do something a little more fun with it. But I imagine they might want to do it in the arena for the live crowd there. But as Fernando says, hey, you know what's fun? Tag teams wrestling. Because that's a thing. And again, I would be even more on board with this if this was like a one night thing. Heck, have all 3 rounds in one night, spread them out, maybe like 2-minute rounds, so kind of sprinkle them throughout the night, a couple of segments here and there. Works for me, but now we're getting the spread out over 3 weeks, and I think it's a sliding scale of just like it's going to get. I don't want to say worse and worse. I mean, hopefully the 3rd round will actually test the academic merit, but I see what you're saying. It is in gym class is a class, but
Well, okay, so we've been talking about things that you don't necessarily think are good. So let's talk about something that happened tonight that we'll see if you thought it was good or not. I have my take. We'll see if we are on the same page. Surprisingly, in the main event spot, we had a birthday celebration for Maurice, hosted by The Miz. There was a mysterious box in the ring, which everybody and their mother thought somebody was inside of that box. Turns out it was just a gift of the brick that they had used to quote unquote smash Beth Phoenix. Then, of course, Edge and Beth Phoenix come out looking all pissed off. They take out the security team. They get in the ring. They chase away The Miz. And they ruin the birthday cake like we've seen a million times before. So that leads me into saying that this segment went exactly how you would expect it to go. But one thing that may be questionable for me is that this ended with Edge and Beth Phoenix standing tall. What does that mean for Saturday, if anything?
John, WWE does this where just sometimes they know that we know what they do with stuff like this, with the patterns they follow, the tropes that they do. So every once in a while, they just throw us a curveball and they'll do what they do. The classic whoever ends the show, the go home show standing tall loses. And every once in a while, they will go the complete opposite way and be like, "Oh no, we're gonna have to win anyway," so that you don't exactly know what's gonna happen. So in a way, now we're in this weird spot of like they do this all the time. So then I would think we're gonna see Miz and Maurice win anyway. I mean, I think at this point, Miz hits it more, but then I think of Edge, and I think Edge would be better off winning, so then he could kind of ride into WrestleMania season with a nice win there. Maybe we've talked about it before. Maybe if Beth is sticking around, I think she'd benefit from a win. It's hard to call. It's hard to call. But this, first off, this was just it takes a lot for me to say something was just pure dumb. But on a show when you wind up having several really, really, really good matches, you're gonna tell me you're gonna end this for the go home show of the Rumble, and it wasn't even fun, John. Like I know it would have been super, super, super obvious to have Edge burst out of a cake or Beth burst out of the box or something. At least that would have been fun. Something a little kind of like give me a little spice. But this, they just march out to the ring and, oh, we're gonna beat you up. And then they don't beat them up, they beat up the security guards. Well, okay, and when one gets powerbombed through a cake, okay. This is the main event segment for a not wrestling show. Understood. I understand that. DJ pointing out he was waiting for another brood bath. I thought we might get that because that's something, but they've already done that in this build alone. So I would prefer that not be the case. Brian saying that the Grit couple was awesome, and kind of likewise, Steven saying that the Edge Beth should win this. DJ pointed out if Miz and Maurice win, very likely we're gonna get another match. Please no. This needs to end Saturday. All right, I'm done. I was kind of enjoying the Edge Miz thing at first. Kind of fade a little bit. Then we got Beth involved at day one, and for one night only, that kind of piqued my interest. And then ever since then, we've been on a downward spiral of like, wow, the promos haven't been very good. That the booking itself has not really like interested me. And like on paper, yeah, I like Edge, I like Miz, Beth and Maurice are great. They're all great, but the story here is just like it's not really working for me. And yes, Nesha, exactly. I expected much more than what we got. I don't know if she was referring to this angle, the story, the angle here tonight, or the storyline itself. I would agree with both. John, what do you think about this? This being the show closing angle for the go home show for the Royal Rumble.
Okay, so I both agree and disagree for different reasons. So I, for one, am a sucker for segments closing the show over matches closing the show. I just think there's more that aspect of unpredictability exists more with a segment because you never know who could interrupt or how it could turn out. I guess a match could theoretically be the same, but like I said, I'm a sucker for the segment storytelling part of the show. Now, this didn't necessarily do the trick because we didn't get like Gangrel coming out of this box or anything like that.
We were robbed.
We didn't get anything extremely unpredictable, but it's okay, I guess, because if you watch the rest of the show, like, I mean, realistically, what else would have closed the show? I mean, if you have the weigh-in close the show, like nothing really happened at the end of the weigh-in except Brock just left, and that was it. And of course, the academic challenge. I guess if you wanted Chad Gable and Orton's match to close the show, that could have worked. But with what they had on the card tonight, uh, I thought it was fine. I want to give props to the crowd of Toledo, Ohio. They finally circumstances because they were supposed to be in Canada tonight.
That's
There
right.
was COVID restrictions that came back up, so they decided to change that to scramble to find Toledo, Ohio, which realistically is a little dog when it comes to the venues they run. They haven't ran Raw or even any show there besides a house show in a long time. So they were hot most of the night. That's what happens when you have a Raw in a basically an AEW Dynamite sized arena, that little arena that has barely an upper deck, like maybe 5 rows of an upper deck, pretty smaller arena. It worked great, I thought. It was great. The main event maybe wasn't the best, but hey, all in all, it was okay.
And that's for pointing out, maybe the weigh-in should have and could have gone different. Then that would have been a better show closing angle. I mean, that's your big title fight. That's to me your big selling point for the Royal Rumble, at least on the Raw side of things. To me, that's just call me old-fashioned. That's kind of the way that I prefer things to go. It's like that's your big match. Granted, this is also a big match, I'm saying, but that's the big match on the Raw side. Have the weigh-in, maybe give them a little more I mean, they got some time. Lashley didn't really say all that much. Maybe could just beef it up a little bit. And as you said, as it was constructed, Lesnar just kind of walked away. But maybe if there was a little more of like a stare down or something, maybe more of a pose, you know, I think that may have worked a little better. Just the birthday party, and again, it wasn't even that like fun. Yeah, again, we got the cake spot, and then they did like the 3D on one of them. It's like, all right, fine. I just felt a little flat for me. But John, there's hope. The one thing there are a couple things we didn't really touch on. There was a brief Becky Lynch and Doudrop promo. I hate split screen promos. They wound up rolling anyway. They should have just been in the ring. If they're going to do that, just be in the ring. There was that. The Mysterios and Street Profits had a good match. Montez Ford is a superhuman. He is great. He literally Superman dove over the ropes. And then Rey Mysterio got upset because Dom teased eliminating him, even though that's exactly what he did last week. So there's no logic there at all. And then they had the classic dump over the rope, chaos, Royal Rumble preview. It's fine. But John, the one saving grace here tonight, Veer is still coming. I kid you not. I was going to refill my coffee cup. I heard the signature Veer music. I stopped in place. I scrambled over the TV. I'm like, is this like? I didn't think he was debuting, but I was like, what, is there more? Is there new footage? Is there something? Is he still coming? He is. All that's right with the world. I don't even care when he comes. To me, this is very much about the destination. Sorry, the journey, not destination. Just the fact that it's a thing. It's a beautiful thing. Someone tweeted that they feel like this isn't very mapped out. John, this whole story is mapped out around. This whole story is based around Veer coming, and I said, hey, most stories based around that. They usually don't. They don't have they're not very mapped out very far. They've got a clear start, middle, and end. Usually happens pretty quickly, and then you reach that destination and you move on. Man, it fills me with too much joy. I have too much fun with it. I love it too much. But again, on Raw, you take what you can get. John, let's go home show. There was some good, some bad, and everywhere in between, really. What do you think about this show heading in here? Last stop for Raw before the Royal Rumble.
Well, I don't know. I thought the show overall was pretty good. There isn't a whole lot, like you mentioned, with the Becky and Doudrop segment, the Veer stuff. It was all right there. But I mean, for the show overall, from a standpoint, I'd probably give it a 6, just a little below average. Not really the best for a go home show. Well, you know what? Let's go up to a 6.5. It has not ruined or lessened my hype for this weekend. I think it's still going to be a really good show. Just tonight could have been a little better. I'm glad I didn't make the 5-hour drive for that.
Yeah, that would have maybe been a bit of a waste, even though there were some very good matches, some good things here. So you're at 6.5, Brian was 6.5, Nesha and Steven both with a 7. I mean, for me and DJ with 5.5, I was ready to give it like no more than a 6. Again, based on just the fact it felt like they were basing the whole show around a birthday party, a weigh-in, and academic challenge. Academic challenge on it being very good. The weigh-in was pretty, Cowboy Brock made it worth it. The matches were very, very, very good. Like Raw, I very much from now same boat as NXT. When it focuses on the wrestling, it's a pretty darn good show. When it doesn't, not so much. So like the Raw, maybe more so NXT. When some of these things are better, it's like the academic challenge was actually pretty fun. On NXT, not so much. But Steve, Michael with a 7.2, Nando with a 6.18 Ducks. For me, it's weird. The matches alone, I would go for like a 7.5, which is really weird, and then you kind of bounce it out. Some of the lesser things here, really flat main event. I'll agree with Nando 6.8 Ducks there. That's a pretty good score for the Rumble here, or the Rumble go home. I'm feeling pretty good. I tweeted about doing the show like after we got Styles and Theory, which was like a really, really good match. I said I feel like I have more shows like this. I will have to re-rank Raw as my top show for WWE of the week. Has been NXT since before 2.0. SmackDown is painfully top heavy because the Roman Reigns stuff is usually great. Everything else is not. So, more stuff like this, good matches, some good segments sprinkled in between. not so bad. It's 3 hours, which is a Herculean task to get through here and there, but not bad. Like again, the bar's low, but it's not pretty darn good. This was going for the Rumble. All things considered, we know the Rumble is shaping up to a very good show. I am hopeful we'll see some fun surprises other than what we've already seen announced. I'm hopeful we're going to see some crazy things. John, you're going to be there in person, so you'll
also going to be. There's a comment from Steven says AEW Beach Show Dynamite in Cleveland. Didn't know there's any beaches in Ohio. Steven, I will be there this Wednesday night. I'm going to Cleveland, Ohio. I will be at Beach Break on Wednesday night.
John's going to an AEW show. Is the world turned upside down?
Third time ever, and I go because they're still good shows, and of course I'll get to see Phil Brooks, but nowhere near as good as what we saw tonight. Let me be clear. Tonight in Ohio, the best wrestling show in Ohio this week happened tonight. Ooh, I'll get that out of the way now.
Them's fighting words, my friend. Oh boy. Well, I'm sure you're going to be in for a very good show on Wednesday, and you're going to be. I feel like you're going to.
Tomorrow I'll be back too.
Of course, we hear on Tuesday for NXT. Next thing, you're cheating on WWE. If that's the case, I've been in a long-term affair with WWE and that, or with AEW in that case. Everybody, not ashamed to admit that one. Boy, yeah. But we'll be here for Tuesday for NXT. It's already Tuesday as we record this now, so we'll be here later tonight for NXT. None of us saying the bar is so low for me that for Raw and everything that I have to be limber enough to slide under it. My friends, the bar is so painfully low. You give me a show like tonight when there's a lot of stuff I don't like, but there's something just give me good matches and I'll be a happy camper. All right, and that's what I am right now. For Raw especially, I'm feeling all right. So that said, John, I'm sure you're gonna be in for a good show on Wednesday. We'll talk about NXT on Tuesday night. Otherwise, we got a great show of interviews constantly coming at you guys. Bill Pritchard recently interviewed Moose and Jonah. I recently interviewed Matt Cardona talking about all the amazing things he's doing. Many things and more. Robert and I should be good to go for Friday once again. No GCW on Friday. They just had a great show at the Hammerstein. If you missed that show on Sunday, I covered it here for WrestleZone, so make sure to check that out. Lots of good stuff there as well. Well, and I guess obviously very much important to me to say thank you everyone so much for your support. It means a lot sitting here and talking wrestling with us on a night when it's good, bad, or in between. We appreciate you honestly. Again, now it's the next day, but in hindsight, Nesha, again, happy birthday. Hope you had a great day in that sense.
It's past midnight, no longer a birthday.
I'm saying in hindsight, John, turning back the clock for 15 minutes or 16 minutes to when it was still Monday. Very happy, I guess now belated birthday for Nesha. And on that said, we thank you all for your support. It means so much. We would not be here without you and your support. Just talk about the wild, weird things, the wild, weird, wonderful world of wrestling as we do here, day in, day out, here at WrestleZone. John, well, that said, the world is a scary place. We come here. We all unite here with a common purpose. Whatever company you support or you like, or ideally multiple if you check out multiple ones. But whatever you like, whatever you do, we come here with one goal in mind, trying to do one thing above all others. John, can you tell me what that is?
Enjoy wrestling.
Indeed. Thanks for listening, everybody.